Hello and welcome to Learning Freedom. I'm Rachael Plant and I hope you're all well. Today I want to talk a little bit about child-led learning in homeschooling and home education and how using a child-led approach within my own family has been the one that has worked for us, and also a little bit about what I see the benefits of child-led learning as being and how it actually works in practice. So a little bit about my background, well, our background. I've got a 9-year-old child who's never been to school. I was a teacher before I had her. I was in the education system, even though I could see a lot of the flaws within it and that it was a one-size-fits-all system that couldn't ever possibly cater for all the individual needs of the children within it. I was still very much in the system. And when I came to start to home educate my daughter, I still had a little bit of that mindset. And I had lots of learning resources, teaching materials from my school days that I wanted to use with her, like phonics materials and resources, for example. And because of the way that she had been parented, which was a very different way to the way I've been parented and a lot of children are parented, in terms of the freedom that she was given to make her own choices, to be autonomous, to explore her environment in a very child-led way. She was really, really resistant to anything educational. And, she could sniff it out a mile away. She could tell if something was being imposed upon her as opposed to her organically finding, the learning in an experience. So if we were doing something that felt, that was naturally a part of our, everyday life, like cooking or baking or, I don't know, creating something, she was absolutely fine with doing that. And especially if she'd come up with the idea in the first place. But, but equally, if I suggested that we did baking or something, she was often up for it. But she because she was like involved in the process and it had meaning and there was a real tangible outcome, she was really up for that. And learning happened because we were talking about what we were doing. We were there was literacy skills because we were talking about the ingredients and the method. She was sequencing. There would be maths involved and science, with the weighing and measuring and the cooking process. So that kind of activity, no problem at all. But if I try to do, sit down with her and do worksheets, or get her to do a piece of writing that wasn't coming from her, that wasn't her suggestion, it was really, really difficult. It was like pulling teeth, to be honest. She wouldn't let me teach her to read. She did pick up some phonics, but it was mainly through the Teach Your Monster to Read app. And yeah, I just kind of had to revise my whole thinking around how she was going to learn. Because, as a teacher, I'd really enjoyed preparing lesson plans and creating resources and, having a lesson plan with specific outcomes, but it very much coming from me, being completely teacher-led rather than child-led. And this is what's different about home education, is that you can allow your child the space to to really feel into what they want to do and what feels meaningful to them. And so I feel the benefits of that are that the learning that happens is much more meaningful because it's happening in in a real-time, realistic, naturalistic way that has meaning and has real life consequences for the child. It just goes in and it propels them because because it's meaningful to them. And as you know, as opposed to things that are much more abstract and don't necessarily have meaning for them in their real lives. Okay, so that's, for me, that's the first benefit. It really goes in at a core level. It's not just superficial learning. It's something that stays with them because of what it means to them. Because they're able to focus on something, some things that are some things that they are really passionate about, the interests that really grab them, that really ignite them. They're able to run with it in a way that they're not able to in school. In school, their attention is divided over lots and lots of different subjects that may or may not be useful when they leave school. There's a lot of things that I learned in school that I've never used. And so if it's a child-led approach, the child is choosing where they want to put their focus and their attention and their energies. And so, they're able to master their subject in a much quicker, and they're able to go at their own pace. And so, like in my daughter's case, she is really into creating videos. She's got a YouTube channel. She likes to edit the videos. She likes to create graphics. And she also likes arts and crafts, and she's really, really good at drawing. The characters that she creates are really quite advanced for her age. Now, if she was in school, she would have to be going at the pace of the teacher. The teacher is having to teach 30 children and, teaching to all of these different abilities. And so, she is much more, what's the word? Like she will go and find out something for herself. Autodidactic. I don't know if that's what I'm looking for, but she's autodidactic, and she's self-motivated. So if she wants to learn something specific in her art, she will go and she'll find a YouTube video. So she will get tutoring, but it will be in her own way. It's not going at the pace that the teacher is setting. She can really excel where she wants to. So also, it's when you're following a child-led approach, you're really going at the child's pace. So if they are developmentally ready to be able to do something, then there's no reason why not. But equally, there's no sort of pressure for them to be at a certain stage, at a certain age, as there is in school. Like they should be hitting certain attainment levels, and they're falling behind if they're not. My daughter, although she did, as I said, she did pick up bits of phonics before she was 7.5. She wasn't able to learn fluently, to read fluently, until she was 7.5. But it all of a sudden, it all came together, and she was able to pick up Harry Potter, for example, a chapter book, and she was able to read it with expression and with with understanding what she was saying, to read it fluently. Now, that is because at 7.5, she was developmentally ready to be able to do that. She could have learned to read at 5 or 6, but it would have been, pushing her on before she was ready. And that kind of approach, it can really switch, and I've seen it as a teacher, it can really switch children off from learning, from reading, from reading for joy, from reading for enjoyment. And kids can really be left with a sense of that they're not good enough, that they're failures, that they're not where they should be, and they're just rubbish at that, and what's the point, Whereas if they're just left until they are ready, or until there's some real need in their life to read, then then it can just it can happen like that. I've known of children, to be 9 or 10, and suddenly they need to, they're doing online games and they need to be able to read the instructions, and so that's when it all comes together for them, because that there's something that they need to do it for. So yeah, the other benefit as well, I think, is that you are able to create and facilitate a learning environment that is individual for your child. So obviously children are different, children are individuals, children have different needs, and they have different learning styles. So some children are much more visual learners, some are use a mixture, some want to be really hands-on with what they do, but the thing is, you can provide them with the kind of environment that they need, that is really specific for them and that can help them to learn better. Some children really have sensory processing difficulties, and so they need very specific things within their environment in order to help them to be able to learn and to navigate that kind of environment to the best of their ability. So yeah, you're able to know your child. They will tell you what they need, or you will be able to pick up the cues from them, and so you're in a position to really create the best kind of environment for them. And I think the final benefit that I feel there is with the child-led learning approach is that you're teaching them to be leaders, you're teaching them to be autonomous, you're teaching them not to be blind followers of whatever they are told to do. You're teaching them to question things and to check in with themselves. Like, do I want to be doing this? Does this feel good to me? Is this really inspiring me, what I'm doing? Or does it just turn me off, and I don't want to be doing this, and so I'm not going to do this. And I think, I really feel that these are qualities that we should be developing in our children, so that they are creative, and they are reflective, and they know themselves, so that they really know themselves, and they are able to value and honour their own needs and their own accomplishments and their own skills, and to be really, really self-aware, and I think those kinds of skills will really serve them well as adults. So yeah, that's my overview of child-led learning and how we came to that kind of approach to learning. I've created a free guide for parents that are thinking about homeschooling, and it answers some of the really frequently asked questions to help people parents to make those that really what can be a really difficult choice, just to give some more information. So yeah, that you can get that free guide, that's below. And if you want to see more of these kinds of videos, you can also sign up to my email list through that link to find out about more when I create more videos and more content related to homeschooling. So thank you for watching, and bye for now.